Good morning, children. Today we are going to study history, the first chapter of history, that is a period of transition. Okay, now before starting this chapter, what is the importance of studying history? Why do we study this subject? Is there any importance or no? Yes, there is an importance of studying history. What? We study history to collect some ideas like good ideas, provocative ideas, rescue ideas that are lost in the past. And through those ideas, we can get the solutions for the problem of our time. So it means that from history we can learn, we can impose those things in our present for the betterment of our future. That is why our history plays a very important role, because we get lots and lots to learn and to improve our present as well as future. So I guess after knowing this concept behind studying history, I feel you will study the subject more seriously and with more interest. Isn't it, children? I hope so. Okay, let's start this chapter. A period of transition. Now, do you know the meaning of this word transition? It means to transform, to change. That means from this word you will come to know about this chapter, that this chapter belongs to the period of transformation. A period when the transformation was taken place or had taken place. Okay. Now, in this chapter we will come across the Renaissance. What is this Renaissance? Okay. Now, what do you understand by this word? Do you have any idea, or your first time coming across this word? If your first time coming across this word, I'll tell you the meaning of this word. This word means reborn or rebirth. So, Renaissance means reborn or rebirth. Okay, that means this period, as I told, is about transformation. So, Renaissance means rebirth. So, reform, changes. Okay, and this period began in Italy and gradually spread to northward other European countries and finally ended in 1650. Children, it was a very unique period. You know why unique period? Because this was the period when Reformation or rebirth took place, and it took place in different fields like science, painting, literature, religion. It touched most of the areas or most of the fields. Okay, new time for art to develop. As I told, the new development took place. So it took place in the art. Protestant religions were born. It was a time when books were widely available to use of vernacular languages. New printing press focused on abilities of person. Basically, the world exploration began. The world explored during this period of Renaissance. Okay, this is what a Renaissance is all about. Okay, let's see what's there in your book. European merchants took keen interest in knowledge. They read Arab books on medicine, astronomy, mathematics, and literature and translated them into different European languages. Italian cities such as Florence, Milan, and Genoa became centers of learning. Greek scholars who were fled from Eastern Europe under Turkish rule were given shelter by the Italian merchants in the cities. They carried with them Greek books to the ancient period related to geography, astronomy, medicine, classical literature, which really helped them to transform and touch all these areas. Okay. Secular learning was encouraged and new compositions were made by the Italian and the other European scholars in different subjects. This is termed as the period of Renaissance or new learning. New learning means, as it's a rebirth, reborn, so everything has changed and the time of changing, transforming. That's why new learning. Okay, arts, excuse me, art, sculptures and painting reached a high level of excellence during the period of Renaissance. Okay, now as they were existing, but after this period they have got a boost up, they were uplifted. Okay, now we will look the factors behind the Renaissance. What are the factors which were responsible for the Renaissance? Okay, now we'll see from here. The Crusades, the holy wars between the Christians of Europe and the Turks in the 11th and the 12th centuries, brought the Europeans into contact with the Arab merchants. Okay, the knowledge of Arabs and the East was passed to the West, and it provided a stimulus for the Renaissance. That means the knowledge of East and the West combined, and it provided a stimulus for the Renaissance. That means it brought a change in the Renaissance. Okay, Constantinople of the Eastern Roman Empire was a center of learning, and when Constantinople fell to the Turks in AD 1453, after the fall of the city, the Greek and the Roman scholars fled to Italy with their valuable manuscripts. This was the beginning of the period of Renaissance. So what we can see over here, that the center of learning which was at Constantinople, and after the collapse of that, fell of that, the scholars, the Roman and the Greek scholars were spread to Italy with their manuscripts. Okay, now as they have moved, this led to the invention of printing press, and due to this printing press, the thoughts, the ideas were written on the books and they were published, and as they were published, it were given to the people. The people got the books and became the books were available to the people for reading, understanding. Okay, this new learning was based on humanism, that is everything related to human being. Consequently, art and literature reflected truth and reality, the human mind and its need and aspirations. The compositions in literature were made and they were mostly secular. Common dialects were used, number of scientific inventions and discoveries were made in the science and geography. Okay, the spirit of rationalism developed. People questioned the church at Rome. They began to question those beliefs that were superstitious. Superstitious means something which you feel that it's something wrong, but people have a belief in that. Okay, realistic art developed in the field of painting and sculpture. This is called realism. So the Renaissance started where it led to the invention of printing press. Humanism was focused on it, and the scientific invention and discoveries were made in the science and geography. Now the Renaissance also took place and brought changes in the painting. Okay, now you all might be aware of this word, Leonardo Vinci. He was the Italian painter, and you might be very aware of his famous painting, that is Mona Lisa. Leonardo da Vinci, he was not only a painter but a sculptor, engineer, scientist, philosopher, poet and singer, and he had his two well-known paintings, that are Last Supper and Mona Lisa. We all are very aware this. You can see this painting of Mona Lisa over here. Then there was another painter whose name was Michelangelo. He was an Italian sculptor, painter and architect, and his famous work was The Last Judgment and the Fall of Man. Okay, then we have another painter whose name was Raphael, and his famous painting was especially the Madonna. Okay, so these were the important painters during the period of Renaissance. Now, as I told, it touched the different fields. So one of the field like painting we have seen. Now we will see the another field, that is literature, which played a very important role in the history. Okay, Dante is an important poet who composed the Divine Comedy in Latin. Petrarch was a great sonnet writer who wrote many sonnets in Latin. Children, sonnet means it's a poetic device which has 14 lines. Okay, it is composed, it's like a song which is of 14 lines, and basically it is written in iambic pentameter. Okay, it's literature language. You'll come to know when you'll go through it. Okay, now he was the founder of Humanism. Erasmus was a critic of the church. He ridiculed the corrupt practice of the churches. Machiavelli was a historian of Florence. He is considered as the father of modern political philosophy. His famous book is The Prince. Okay, the Renaissance started in Italy and it spread to France, England, and gradually to the rest of the Europe and the world. The effect of Renaissance were felt in other parts of the Europe too. So, as in literature, these were the very important poets: the Petrarch, Erasmus, Machiavelli, and after that, as I told you earlier, also that it began in Italy and gradually spread to the northward on other European countries. So, let's see the other writers. Thomas More was a British politician who pictured an ideal society full of harmony and justice. As he was a politician, he had he dealt with an ideal society which was full of harmony and justice. In his book Utopia, okay, he emphasized on social equality. So he was a writer as well as he was a politician whose focus was on a social equality. Cervantes was a Spanish writer. Okay, his famous book is Don Quixote. In this book, he made fun of medieval knights and their chivalry. He criticized the feudal society of Europe, as these all are kind of critics. Francis Bacon was an English essayist. He wrote many essays. William Shakespeare, I know everyone might or obviously you all are aware of this word, William Shakespeare. Now the names which are written here about the writers, you can see their pictures: Machiavelli, Sir Thomas More, William Shakespeare, Rebellious, Minguadi Servants, Francis Bacon. Okay, now we all know Shakespeare. He was the greatest poet of England. He wrote plays that depicts very possible human emotion. He also wrote sonnets. Now you are aware of this word sonnet. What is sonnets? Relabis was a French writer. He composed Pantagruel and Gantagruel, named after two mythical medieval giants. Okay, now after touching the painting and literature, we will move to the third field, that is modern science. The Renaissance also took place in the modern science. If this field were touched during the Renaissance, same here, this field was also touched during the Renaissance. Copernicus was a Polish scholar and he published a book named Revolutions of the Celestial Spheres, and in this book he explained about the rotation of the earth on its axis and motion around the sun. Galileo, you all are aware of this man. He was an Italian scientist who invented the telescope to study the heavenly bodies and confirm Copernicus' theory. Then next was a Kepler, was a German scientist. He explained with the help of mathematics how planets move around the sun. And then we have Isaac Newton. You all are very aware of this person. He was the one who gave us the law of gravitational force, isn't it? He was the one who introduced to us what is gravitational force, isn't it? Then we have Vesalius, was a scholar from Belgium and he published a book describing the anatomy of the human body. Then Servetus was a biologist from Spain. He published a book explaining the circulation of blood. Harvey, a British doctor and scientist, he discovered the complete process of blood circulation from the heart to all parts of the body and back to the heart. So these were the writer, basically the scientists. These all are the scientists who made a introduction of new theories, new ideas in the field of science. Okay, so this video is up to here till the model science. In the next video we will see the sea voyages and discoveries, the Reformation, the Catholic Reformation and the Industrial Revolution. Till now we will have this video till here. Okay, so please go through the chapter, and if you have any doubts, please let me know. Okay, thank you.